So, hello and good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. My name is Gemma Henry. I am part of the talent acquisition team here at Everyday Independence. So, you're all very welcome. Thank you so much. I hope everyone has had a great day. As I said, I'm part of the talent acquisition team. I will be your point of contact also for at the end of the event, and my details will be shared and provided at the end of the presentation. Also, look, it's an open forum. I appreciate people may have questions throughout the presentation, so feel free to pop your hand up or pop a question into the chat. But we will have a dedicated time for Q&A at the end of the presentation as well. So now I'm just going to hand it straight over to our host for this evening, Brianna Grigg.
Hello everyone, welcome this evening and thanks again for joining our new graduate presentation. As Gemma mentioned, my name is Brianna Grigg. I'm an occupational therapist and I'm currently our Habit Coach program lead at Everyday Independence. So a fun fact about me is that I started as a new graduate occupational therapist in 2015. So to those of you that have attended tonight, I hope I've sat in your shoes. I've been a student looking at where I want to go and work and where I want to expand my skills. And I have just returned to work in January this year after having 10 months off with my first son, Parker. So bear with me because I'm sure I will make some mistakes, as you all will in your journey when you're looking and working out in the real world. So a bit of information about me is I've had the privilege of working in many different roles at Everyday Independence, including both clinical and operational pathways. So clinically, my passion is working with children and families, and I still have a really small core caseload currently. And very quickly, I found my passion in supporting new practitioners joining our organisation and stepped into a team leader role, which progressed into a regional role. And I was the previous state lead for Victoria, Tasmania and South Australia. I now have the very big privilege of sitting in a national program role. So I talk about my journey today to show you that there's so many career opportunities at Everyday Independence. The pathway doesn't have to be linear. It can be clinical, it can be operational, and you can absolutely switch between both. So I'm really excited to share and host with you today. So I'd love to start off today by doing an acknowledgement of country. So we acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which our site is held and pay our respects to elders, past, present and future, thanking Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders for their continued connection to land, waters and community, and acknowledge the important role they play within our communities. Our why. So you will notice this on my background. Our why is something that we start all of our meetings with at Everyday Independence, and it's a reminder of our purpose and why we're here. This is why, and this is what we try to achieve at Everyday Independence. We're really passionate about our why. We have been working in the NDIS since the beginning at the trial, and it's become really apparent to us 3 to 4 years in to the NDIS that the bar was being set really low for people living with a disability. We were really motivated to raise this bar, and that's why we all work and do the amazing jobs that we do. And we did this by curating evidence from across the globe and started to look at what was possible when it came to capacity building and therapeutic supports for people living with a disability. And this is how we created the Everyday Way. So you'll see our why is that we strive every day to lead and support families, individuals, communities, and our nation to become a global leader for inclusion. So you'll see on our current slide, we talk a little bit about Everyday Independence, our promise. Our promise is to build confidence and skills to help remove social barriers to enable participation every day. Our vision is for all Australians to have the skills and confidence to engage in everyday life as valued community members. And our purpose is to truly push harder to make inclusion possible for all Australians. So our values, we do this by living and breathing our values every day at Everyday Independence. We do this by working in a social model of disability and by being a values-led organisation. Our values are very much aligned with a social model of disability, and they really speak to all stakeholders in the Everyday Independence team and in our brand. So whether you are a participant using our services or an employee at Everyday Independence and providing services, our values are something that we speak about every day. Everybody wants to build skills, confidence, and everybody is hoping to achieve the goals that they set out for themselves. So if we look at our 5 Changemaker values on the screen, change the game. We want to change the game for people living with a disability. We want to level up, and we truly want to change the vision of what's possible for people. We want to inspire with belief. We really need to imagine for people and inspire. We really need to support people to imagine what a life as an employee or a participant and what could be truly possible for them. Champion the person. We want to use person-centered practice, and this is at the heart of what we do and the heart of a social model. And it's all about championing the person, championing the participants, championing everyone who works at Everyday Independence to have the best work-life balance, to be able to set their goals and achieve their goals, and to be able to achieve what they would like to achieve. Simplify and go. We are really committed to simplifying and really removing the noise for people with a disability and removing the noise for our practitioners. We do this by creating great products where you can go out and have great impact as easily as possible. And last but not least, one team with purpose. This is at the heart of what we do and connects us all to our why. So the next slide we're going to go into now is the everyday way. So the everyday way is the way we do at Everyday Independence. I would love to start off today by sharing a story that really encompasses the everyday way. So since working at Everyday Independence for the last 9.5 years, one of my favourite stories has been when a colleague of mine was referred out to support a young gentleman, and the referral was really to go out and assess for a wheelchair. So she went out, she met this young gentleman, she looked at his wheelchair. The wheelchair looked pretty good from her perspective. And he quickly told her that the wheelchair was not meeting his needs of being able to go down the street and access the groceries. So the participant jumped in the wheelchair, out they went to the local shops. They quickly realised that the wheelchair was absolutely fine. The young gentleman absolutely had the capacity to use his wheelchair independently, to access where he needed to go, to cross the road safely. There was actually a giant pothole in the middle of the road that was on the street that he was trying to get to the local grocery store. So they went back home together, they called the council, and they were able to make a real difference, not only for that young gentleman, but also for society, to make a huge difference for people not only living with disability, but they had the opportunity to make inclusion possible for all Australians. And I think that is just such a great example of the everyday way. So I think that example I've shared really encompasses the social model. So it's where everybody associated with participants shares that responsibility for changing the attitudes. It's about changing the attitude of the council. It's about changing the attitudes that we possess, that our friends possess, and really politely challenging people to view what is possible for all Australians and setting that bar and pushing that bar every day. We do this by having an interdisciplinary team. So we look at a person's life from all angles, not just from an OT perspective, but we're looking at it from a lens of all therapy interventions and what somebody might need. We step in and out at the right time in someone's journey to really support them to achieve lifelong outcomes across their life trajectory. We use the LEAD tool for therapy planning. This really measures therapeutic impact and quality of life, and this is an evidence-based tool that's really leading the sector. We use habit coaches, so they build routines and skills and cost effectively. And I'll talk a little bit more about our habit coach program and some of the opportunities for you all later in the presentation today. And finally, we do therapy sprints as an evidence-informed approach. So we come in at the right time, we wrap lots of support around the person, and then we give them space and time to really build those skills and integrate into their everyday routines. So the everyday way truly aligns with the NDIS's goal of enabling participants to buy well and get better value outcomes for their funding in smarter and more impactful ways. So we're really looking for people to come in to learn these amazing new skills, and also looking for people with experience to come in. We want you to come in and mentor, guide, be subject matter experts, and guide our newer generations of practitioners and therapists that are joining us every day. So to everybody here, you might ask yourself, why work in disability? It is so rewarding. Every single one of us here today that will be presenting or on our panel has the most exciting stories to share, and I get the biggest smile on my face because we're truly making an impact every day for people living with a disability. We're working with participants over longer periods of time. We come in and out at the right time to support someone in their journey, and we're truly building connections with people. We're building connections with their supports, and we're building capacity of not only the participant, but all the people around them that make up their team. So we want you to be a future fit practitioner. So really knowing what it takes to drive participant outcomes for NDIS funded participants. The social model is truly recognised as the way forward. We invest in you, we're innovative as a company, and there's so many career growth opportunities and earning potential. You'll often hear us at Everyday Independence talk about cause, career, and community. And I know we'll touch a lot more on that throughout the presentation today. So leading the charge for positive change. I've explained today that we had to really go out and design the model the everyday way. Then we needed to have a great infrastructure that can deliver the everyday model and lead the charge for change. So on the screen today, you will see some of our incredible people and our incredible thought leaders in our organisation. We have some photos here of some absolute game changers who are making significant change and truly influencing the sector, influencing NDIS, and truly influencing the way we support people living with a disability. We've included even more faces recently. We've had some of our amazing OTs heading to Perth for the OT exchange. Our speech pathologist, Jade, who you'll see there, has just returned from presenting at the SPA conference in Perth. And our physios, who is heading to Cairns in July to present at the Australasian conference. So we need you all to join us. We need more great leaders out there that are doing evidence-based practice. And also, if you do join us, these are just some of the incredible supports that will be wrapped around you throughout your everyday independence journey. These truly are incredible leaders, and these leaders do lead a lot of our operational and clinical teams who are truly leading the way. So I have the absolute pleasure tonight of introducing our speakers. Tonight you will meet Trish Hill, who's our clinical educator and is a physiotherapist. You'll meet Gemma Stoyce, an occupational therapist, Kelly Tan, a speech pathologist, and you've met myself, Brianna, who's occupational therapist and program lead for Habit Coach. So the first person you're going to hear from today is Trish Hill. I have the absolute privilege of introducing Trish. Trish and I have worked really closely together for many, many years. Trish is a clinical educator and physiotherapist. She joined Everyday Independence in 2011. She's our clinical physiotherapy lead, as well as our educator lead. She's a physiotherapist and key worker. She does high complexity AT prescriber. She's one of the most passionate people that I've met, especially when we're talking about young children, their potential, looking at AT prescription. And you'll see there, Trish has written, at Everyday Independence, we foster a supportive culture of lifelong learning through skill development and professional growth. This helps us offer impactful, evidence-informed support to our participants, empowering them to expect more from our lives. So I'm going to hand over to Trish now, who's really going to jump into some of our clinical supports that you'll receive in your first year as a new graduate. So welcome, Trish.
Thanks, Bri. That was a lovely welcome. Thank you. It's embarrassing. That's lovely. I wanted to speak tonight about the sort of supports and learning and career opportunities that we offer graduates at Everyday Independence. So it really starts with unlocking what your clinical passion is and helping you to explore to find out what that might be. And this is the way that we go about doing that alongside you. So you have an opportunity for a really varied caseload that you can dive into to explore, what gives you the most meaning from your work. There's tons of clinical mentoring available, which is both individual and group mentoring. So you can learn alongside peers as well as have opportunities for one-on-one. And that also helps you to really dive in and explore what might be possible. In the second sort of 6 months, probably of your new grad year, you'll be ready to think about your individualized learning plan and what's next for you in your career. And the organisation does have a career coach called Sally, who's amazing. I found her to be a great support to me over my career, and she helps provide that scaffolding to help you to explore what might be possible after your new graduate year. There's the Interdis teams that you'll be a part of. So you'll be a part of a team with other disciplines working with participants together in a really coordinated way. And I'm forever learning every day from my colleagues when we're supporting participants together. So it's a really great way to learn and really deepen your knowledge and experience on the job. We have 7 different clinical career pathways, and that's on top of all the operational pathways that Bree was sort of alluding to earlier, that she's had an opportunity to explore in her career. So you can really build the career that is going to really give you the most back. And we'll talk a bit later about learning and development, because there's so much learning and development on offer while you're here in your new graduate year and beyond that will really help to shape you as a clinician. The first 12 months, a bit of a journey as a new graduate through our induction to really working alongside a mentor and building your caseload and learning on the job with supports in place from outside and learning available on the way. And then really building that over time so that you're getting the reps, getting the runs on the board to develop your skills and passion. And your caseload changes along the way also as you get more of an idea of what you want to specialise in as a practitioner. So as Bree was saying, it's really about becoming a highly impactful social model expert as a practitioner, because that's what we know is going to make the biggest difference to people in their lives. But we all bring different skills to the table in supporting participants with their outcomes. So let's take a look at that 12 months in a bit more detail. So broad strokes, you start off with an induction program called Everyday Flying Start. And the idea of that is that you've got the opportunity to see one and do one before you're supporting somebody else to do it. So that means shadowing with a mentor. So you have a dedicated mentor of the same discipline who you observe, and then they observe you. So it's an opportunity for you to put the learning that you get in week 1 into practice with your participants as you build your caseload. And then that builds over time, and you'll build your confidence, become familiar with the way that the processes and the tools that we use, and just thrive from there. So let's look in more detail at that. So your induction month. So this is all 1 week. It's pretty jam-packed first week. Day 1 is your organisational induction. So finding out about Everyday Independence as an organisation, why we do what we do and how we work. And then day 2, you spend in your local hub, meeting your team leader and your mentor, and spending the afternoon out on the road with them, seeing participants. So you get an idea of what you're in for. And then days 3 and 4 is your clinical learning, where we go through all of the learning that shows you the tools that are available to you, the processes, clinical scenarios, and opportunities for you to ask questions and be supported through that learning. So we go through our whole clinical therapy cycle during those days, and then you've got all that information to then put into practice in week 2. So from week 2, you have that same mentor you met in week 1, and you're hitting the road with them. So spending time watching them, they're spending time watching you and supporting you to build what you're doing in sessions. until you're becoming more independent through weeks 3 and 4, and supporting you to move through a competency tool so you can check off, how am I going with all the things I need to do and all the learning that will help me to support participants through those 4 weeks. So it's a combination of observations, shadowing, self-directed learning, and opportunities for you to tap into mentoring along the way as well. So this is a busy slide, and I think it's a busy slide because we offer a whole lot of support. So with you at the centre, we're really working on supporting you with work-life balance, supporting you with all the different resources like your admin support, your team leader, your colleagues in the hub who are working alongside you to support participants, and a whole heap of mentoring and learning supports. So we've got your discipline-specific mentor who you meet in that first week with the shadowing and observations that we've talked about. There's graduate mentoring and supervision also. So we have a new graduate learning community, which I came from this afternoon. What were we learning? Well, we're learning about interdisciplinary practice today, actually. So there you go. And also that career coach, Sally, that I mentioned, who's probably, towards the end of that year, you're really ready to come up with a grow plan. We have communities of practice as well, and communities of practice are a great way to learn alongside your peers and really explore shared interests and learning themes through the year. So we have a number of communities of practice. For me, I'm physio, but I don't just have to go to the physio one. If I see a topic that I think is really of interest to me, or I think will really help my participants, I can go to any number of other communities of practice through the year too. And then we have our phone a friend style everyday therapy mentoring for when you're out on the road and go, I need to just ask a quick question, or I'm not sure what to do here. You can, that there's an experienced mentor on the other end of the line during those times. So there is a whole lot of support available that you can tap into depending on what you're wanting to learn and how you're wanting to learn it. So I love this quote from Charlotte, who was a new graduate OT with us, who felt she never was out of her depth because she always had support from her therapy mentor and other team members to help her through any challenging or new situations. So I just thought that was really nice. There's lots of circles that are going to be drawn here, I think. No, we're all good. Okay, cool.
Trish, while I have you, is it all right if I ask you one question today?
Of course, Brie.
So you have just described so much amazing support and so much that we offer at Everyday Independence. What's the one message that you'd want new graduates to take away from all of that wonderful support that you've just described?
It's a lot of information, right, that I've just thrown at you. So I think the take-home message is we've got you. You will be supported here. We will always be there to support you, provide the mentoring and the wellbeing support, as well as through our processes. We've got lots of really nice scaffolding and resources available for you to help find your feet when working in disability, and also then to grow and develop in your career, to figure out what you want to explore as you finish your new grad year. So I think that's my take-home message, Brie, is we've got you.
Thanks so much, Trish. I think you've really clearly outlined all the incredible support options we have. But what I've really taken away from you as well is that we can really dip in and dip out at the right time for us when we need that support. And you really get to control your own new graduate journey at Everyday Independence.
That's right, Brie. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Trish.
Thanks.
Now I get to welcome our wonderful Gemma Stoy. So Gemma is an occupational therapist. She joined us in February 2022. You'll notice Gemma and I often laughing and smiling together. We work together at a hub, so we see each other often 2 to 3 times a week. And I love this quote from Gemma. I feel really grateful to be where I am, and I've grown so much in my time since I've been here. So welcome, Gemma.
Thanks, Bree. Thanks for having me.
Gemma, I've got a few questions for you as well, if that's all right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're an occupational therapist. What's the most impactful support you've received over your new graduate year?
Love this question. And it stumped me a little bit because I think there are so many impactful supports at Everyday Independence, as we've already covered a little bit. I think reflecting on my new grad year in particular, I would say that career coaching is probably the most impactful for me, because it really helped me to understand what was on offer in terms of the different career pathways that the company has, not just obviously for OT. I mean, that was specific for me, but I know my colleagues who are physios and speechies have accessed the same support, and it's very individualized. So that's a real big bonus. But I think, again, reflecting on that, it's something that I still access today. And I've actually just created a whole new grow plan with my career coach, which is exciting. So, yeah, I think through that career coaching, I was really encouraged to reflect on my core values and also my reasoning for actually being an OT, which helped me to develop a grow plan, really specific grow plan to, to reach my full potential through trialing different career pathways and growth opportunities like internal professional developments, external ones, different mentoring opportunities which Everyday Independence offer, and a really tailored plan to reach my end goal. So I think that, yeah, again, looking at this question, for me, goal setting is super important, and it's something that, as therapists, we do every day with our participants. So career coaching is a really nice way to actually have that support directed at us. And I think that it just demonstrates that at Everyday Independence, we really value the growth and development of our therapists.
Thanks, Gemma. It sounds like career coaching has been so pivotal for you and such an exciting tool.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm so keen to know, what opportunities have you had so far at EI to explore these different OT career pathways that you are discussing with us today?
Yeah, I think through the earlier career coaching sessions that I had, I started to understand that I really thrived in that general specialist space as an OT. So, I've really been developing my core clinical skills since then by taking on a really broad caseload, which looks at, different participants of different ages and disabilities and backgrounds, to just give me a lot of different experience as well. This realization was really important to me because when I first started, particularly, a lot of therapists, not just OTs, but therapists in general, were actually specializing in different areas. And I put a lot of pressure on myself to do the same thing, thinking that that's just something that we must do. We must specialize and, leave this core space. But again, looking at those values, I really, I thrive through the relationships that I make and working in a team. So, right now for me, the best fit is that general specialist scope. And I guess I know that I can always tap back into that career coaching, as I have in the last 12 months, to, see what other opportunities in terms of OT career pathways might be better suited.
So, Gemma, wow, what's next for you? Where do you see, what are your options for career growth at Everyday Independence, and what are you leaning towards currently?
Yeah, so it's pretty exciting. I'm pretty pumped about it, but I've recently taken on a operational leadership opportunity. So I've started a team leader portfolio. So at this stage, next couple of horizons, I'm really just eager to continue developing my operational skills within this space and just getting familiar with the role and familiar with my team. So I guess at the moment, I'm supporting a small team of therapists within this portfolio with their, onboarding and any operational tasks that they may need support with. But the end goal is to become a team leader at Wyndham, which is very exciting. So far, it's been a really great learning opportunity, and it's exciting and pretty reassuring to have had so much support from, our own leadership team, and Bree, you know, you're one of those people, but there's a lot of others behind the scenes that aren't here today. But it's super exciting and reassuring to know that there's so much faith in our early career clinicians. And I really do think that that confidence has sort of been instilled in me through that career coaching. But I think as well, like, I'm very passionate about culture. So I really want to feel comfortable in the workplace that I'm in and I'm a part of. And I do think that as a whole, Everyday Independence does really value that culture as well, and aims to really foster positive connections and work-life balance and working alliances within the hubs. So I think that, you know, we spend so much time within the workplace that it's really important that we're all enjoying work, we're enjoying our time, we want to be there. And I've just found that within this role, as much as I love being an OT and you know, developing my clinical skills, and there's no way that's going to stop anytime soon, I think that this team leader portfolio has really given me an opportunity to just make changes within the hub to really increase employee morale and sort of understand what people want and yeah, make that change. And it's really satisfying.
Thanks so much, Gemma. I absolutely love watching the impact you make at the hub and with all of your participants. So I'm excited to watch you and your career growth and see where you go. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Bree. Appreciate it.
Now we're going to welcome Kelly Tan. So Kelly is a speech pathologist. She commenced at Everyday Independence in 2021. And Kelly, I love this quote from Kelly: "I have discovered new career pathways and feel confident that my career is on the right path." So welcome, Kelly.
Thanks for having me today, Bree.
Kelly, I've got a few questions lined up for you because I know you are one of our incredible speech pathologists. And I'd just love to know, can you tell me more about the mentoring you received during your new graduate year, and what was the most impactful support that you received?
Oh, that's a very good question. But before I answer that question, I just want to say congratulations, Gemma, for your team leader role. That's so exciting. I could not have survived being a speechy without a team leader. But yes, back to that question. Could you repeat the question again? Sorry, Bree.
Of course. As a speech pathologist, can you tell us more about the mentoring you received during your new graduate year, and what was the most impactful support that you received?
Right. When I first started, I was very fortunate to be assigned to a speechy mentor. So then I was quite worried being a new clinician. It's like, am I doing this the right way? You know, what if there's like other kind of like evidence-based practice that's better? So then I was meeting my mentor, my speechy mentor, weekly. And then it gives me a chance to address my concerns, bounce ideas, checking in as well. Like, am I doing this the right way for the social model? Because being a student, then we were so used to, you know, being on student placement, medical model, you know, like, do I do drills and everything like that? But then my mentor was really good in kind of assuring me that I'm on the right track, that, you know, we have other ways to do this and also achieve the participants' goals. My mentor then as well, they were actually quite knowledgeable about different disciplines. Them being a speechy themselves, you know, I have a participant, for example, then they have kind of presentations and I'm not sure about them. And I was like, is this kind of like a physio thing? Is this an OT thing? Do they need a wheelchair or something? So I'll bring all those questions back to my mentor and they'll tell me like, oh, actually, we can pull in a physio or an OT from our hub, for example, to kind of look at that and kind of guide me through having that interdisciplinary role. Right now, I do have monthly check-ins as well with my speechy mentor, but I'm also on a group mentoring kind of program with my speechy group. So then we'll meet online and we'll meet with different speechies from other hubs, and we just kind of like pool resources, talk about secret speechy things. Yeah. The other part of that question, was it about what was most impactful, is it, Bree?
Yes.
To be honest, I'm really grateful for my team leaders. They also did weekly check-ins, and even now too, I meet my team leaders quite frequently. they really made sure that I have like a good work-life balance, because then I was like, I need to bring my work home because I don't know how to do this well. It's new for me. And then my team leader was saying that, look, realistically, it takes about like 3 months for someone to get used to a new role, and that's okay. And then having dabbled in this role as a speechie with EI for almost 3 years, actually, in August, I've come to realize that it took me 12 months to get used to things. And that's definitely okay, you know, being in this new grad role then, and now being able to be a consolidated clinician. Even just yesterday on Facebook, one of my classmates from my speechy cohort, they're like, I have a question about this. And I was like, I'm confident to answer. And I did help them in the comment section, and they're like, thanks heaps. And I was like, okay. So yeah. Thanks, Bree. That was my responses.
Congratulations, that coming to 3 years, Kelly. That's such
Yeah.
a milestone. So as you've mentioned, you've had lots of support around you, and you did mention, you know, really getting used to a new role. And I'm interested because this role is so much about the social model.
Yeah.
Why do you find working in the social model as a speech pathologist so rewarding?
I really like working in a group. I'm someone who likes to bounce ideas, discuss about things. For example, then perhaps one of my participants, for example, they do have an OT on board, but then I'll be like, how can I implement this in my session as well? Also making sure that it kind of aligns toward their speech or OT goals, but then in like that whole holistic approach. In that way, I guess we would then consider it to look at the participant in like a holistic way then, having that shared purpose. And it's more of me seeing this in a way that, how can I bridge the gap, you know, between a participant who's happy contributing member in the society, and then the barriers in the environment as well. So yeah. I think recently as well, I had a joint session together with an OT and a key worker, and we actually met the little kid who's a 2-year-old at kinder, and we really worked together, making sure that, you know, they can have fun, they can play. That's what kids do. It's their job to play, making sure that they can make friends as well, and then moving along slowly up the school years. So yeah. Thanks,
So
Bree.
Kelly, what is next for you? What are your career aspirations?
Very interestingly, I started with EI thinking that, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be this AAC expert, alternative and augmentative communication. And then I was like, I like swallowing too. It's all these niche areas, like maybe then I can like be in a hospital or something. But then having worked in the social model, I realized like, oh, my interests are different. I want to be just like Gemma as well, like a core practitioner. So then I want to like dabble a little bit into it. Even now, my caseload has shifted. I first started having a pediatric and adult caseload, but then there's this new opportunity in my hub to be an early childhood speech pathologist. So then I was like, okay, that's great. It will kind of like help me learn as well, going into that lifelong learning. And even with EI2, there are so many professional development opportunities. Even if, you know, you decide that now I want to shadow and observe one of my colleagues doing one of their sessions, I can. I remember even in my new grad year, it was very important for me to be able to shadow and observe too. And I had the chance of going into a hydro pool with the physiotherapist. So yeah, it was very, very good. Now I'm thinking that I work with Sally, the career coach, and we had kind of like a discussion of how can I mesh my personal goals together with my work goals, setting kind of like little steps on how I can achieve it clinically as well. So now I am on track to be a clinical mentor. So exciting times. Yeah. Thanks, Bree.
Thank you so much, Kelly. It's so incredible to hear your journey as a speech pathologist so far. And if we do have any aspiring speech pathologists on the line, please stick around. We will have some opportunities to have questions with Kelly, with Gemma, with Trish, in about 10 minutes when we get through the rest of the content. So thanks so much, Kelly.
Thank you.
So in summary, everyone, we got you. We have you. We understand that you're still learning. You need support. You're going to make mistakes, and that's okay. I guarantee you, every single person presenting today, or everyone on the panel, we've made all the mistakes you can make. We've asked all the silly questions, and we welcome that culture at Everyday Independence, because that is how you develop that growth mindset. It's how you learn. It's how you consolidate new skills. A summary of what Tricia said: you can really expect a 12-month structured program supporting your transition from university to practice. You can learn what it takes to drive real change for NDIS participants. As a sole practitioner, as part of an interdisciplinary team and a part of a hub and a bigger team as well at Everyday Independence. You can access the supports that work best for you and at the times that work best for you in your journey. We have an industry-leading in-house budget as well. So you get lots of in-house learning and development, and then you also get an external $1,000 PD budget. And just we want to assure you that you'll be supported every step of the way, whether it's by your team lead or your discipline-specific mentor, or all the informal support you'll receive from everyone else in the organisation as well. So why join us? Why join Everyday Independence? We really wanted to share some of our everyday perks with you. So these help you to not only love the work you do, but be rewarded and benefit from it at the same time. So we really focus on everyday well-being. So we do get 2 well-being days per year at Everyday Independence. You don't need a doctor's certificate. You can Netflix and chill. You can go to the beach. You can have a coffee. We want our team to really engage in what's going to support them to bring their best selves to work. We have lots of discounts on our platforms, lots of vibrant hub life, whether it's coffee you love, whether it's food, whether it's dogs, whether it's babies. You will see all different parts of everyone's teams, both personally and professionally, on Wednesdays when we all do come together. And we really do have a focus on health and well-being. So whether that's doing yoga, whether that's setting out time in your day to do some reflection or journaling and planning, we really look at each individual person and practitioner at Everyday Independence and look at what you need to be your best self at work. We have flexibility. So there's role flexibility. You do get to manage your own calendar. You get to put in, if you want to go to netball on a Wednesday night, or you like to do admin on a Monday, you can set yourself up for success. People relocate. So it's happened so many times to me when I've set up new teams, when people say to me, Bree, I'm actually thinking I want to see change. I'm going to move to Brisbane. So we've had lots of people who have worked in one hub and set their sights on another one, or they've moved interstate or moved to support family. That's something we can absolutely support at Everyday Independence. We have purpose leave. We've recently had a team member traveling around Australia in a caravan. So they've put their career journey at Everyday Independence on hold, but we know that we'll see her back in 3 months. And we do have purchase leave. So a lot of our fantastic parents say, I still want to work at EI and I want to work full time, but I want 6 or 8 weeks off a year. So they can purchase that and they can make sure they get that incredible flexibility with their career and also spending time with their family, holidaying, or doing the interests that they have. There's lots of everyday growth. So you've heard a lot today about professional development, career coaching with Sally. She's in such high demand, but I think her name's come up 3 or 4 times already tonight. There's a dedicated induction that we've gone through for you in your new graduate program. And there is so much learning and development at your fingertips as well. I'm so excited to share this slide. This wasn't around back when I started, but we have some incredible perks now at Everyday Independence where you truly can earn more as an everyday practitioner. So there's lots of different perks that you can link into to really choose how much money you want to earn. So we do have base salaries as a new graduate at Everyday Independence, but we have some add-ons now that you can opt into. So a lot of our team members actually opt into our remuneration loading. So this means you actually get additional money per additional billable hour So in our mind, it's that additional participant you get to support. You will be rewarded for that on top of your KPIs. We do reward you if you join our team and we think you're fantastic, and then you bring more people along that are fantastic, we will give you an employee referral bonus as well, because we want the most incredible people joining our team. We also have everyday way bonuses. So there's a potential to earn an additional $3,000 a year. And that's available to all practitioners who meet the requirements of their role. So there's lots of different ways that you can increase your salary. You can step into different roles across your journey too, but there are just so many ways that you can enhance your salary if that is something that is really important to you. I've touched a little bit on everyday wellbeing and inclusion, but here is just a snapshot of what our calendar looked like last year. I can't even go into all of it, but we've had diversity days, we've had change maker days, we've had wellbeing days, we've had yoga, we've had lots of online platforms that people can jump into and jump out of at their own choice. But wellbeing and all of your health and wellbeing is the utmost importance to us at Everyday Independence. So we're constantly adding exciting opportunities into our inclusion calendar. And just quickly, on Wednesdays, all of our teams come together to celebrate in Hub Life. So this is often the most exciting day for our practitioners as they get to meet. Some weeks we have a morning tea, some weeks we have a team meeting. Some weeks we just have a coffee and catch up and chat about our weeks, what's working, what are some of those challenges we're facing. You'll often see practitioners collaborating. You'll often see them going for a walk to get their favourite coffee down the road. They might be therapy planning, or they might be discussing joint participants. And as I mentioned, you might see furry friends, you might see children, but I can assure you there's always lots of smiles, food and coffee. So I did really quickly want to chat to you all today. If you are a student on the line with us who is graduating this year, next year, or in a few years, it doesn't mean you have to wait around to join Everyday Independence until you graduate. So you could join us as a habit coach. So we currently have just under 200 habit coaches in our organisation who are working with our participants, and they are working under the direct supervision and guidance of our allied health practitioners. So this is a speech pathologist, an occupational therapist, a physiotherapist, an early childhood intervention specialist, or a positive behaviour support specialist, where they really go out and generate a plan for our participants and come up with a habit coach action plan for our habit coaches to go out and implement with participants. I know this is something I would have absolutely have loved to jump into while I was studying, to build and grow my career and build my skills in an area that I was already really passionate about. So I just want to put that out there. We will open up the questions and chat later, but we'd love to have you consider working with us as a habit coach as well. So we understand the importance of goals and outcomes, but we know that it's the daily process. It's developing habits that turn into routines that truly enable us to get everything done and feel satisfied with life. And this is a quote from Leanne Healy, who is our founder and director. And her and I work so closely on the Habit Coach program, and that's why there is a lead position now for this program. It is truly leading the way and changing the sector, and we are getting constant questions about it. So we really wanted to share that with you all today. So we're making impact nationally. We have over 900 employees now, of which 600 are practitioners. We have 40 hubs in 6 states. We're expanding our reach now in Queensland, Tasmania, Western Australia, and New South Wales. And we are helping participants access services sooner and providing value for money with habit coaches. We're really passionate about supporting people to access the scheme. We work really quickly and closely to support people to access services. So if you're on a wait list, we're going to do anything we can to support you, whether it's having a consult, whether it's having a practitioner or a habit coach. We truly wrap supports around people to help them in any way that we can. So Trish, I wanted to hand back to you for this slide to I guess what happens after you finish this amazing program we've spoken about today? Because I know we have 7 clinical career game-changing pathways, and I'd love for you to touch on them.
Thanks, Bree. Yeah, I'd be happy to. So there's so many opportunities, which hopefully you've gathered that vibe from all of the experiences people have shared so far. So we have a number of pathways, and I'll just speak briefly to each of these so that you have an idea of what they mean. A disability practitioner is a generalist practitioner, often of a social work background, who gets people started on their therapy journey by doing that initial session with them, helps to then link in the team around that person, and sometimes can then provide some little bursts of support to help link in with services in the community. We have our discipline-specific practice, which I know that we've already heard a little bit about, which I'm always excited to hear when we hear, Gemma and Kelly, was it? Kelly, yeah, and Gemma speaking about their experience. I'm always excited to hear people choosing this pathway, because it's such an important and impactful pathway and a great way to support participants in everything we do. So that's where you're really honing your skills within your discipline to support that person where they're at. And it doesn't mean you're not growing and developing. You're always growing and developing skills and taking on more challenges and moving through a pathway as you would with any of the other areas. But you can do that just by staying as a discipline-specific practitioner. Other more focused programs, we would call them, are our positive behaviour support program. So if you're passionate about supporting people who have challenging behaviours or behaviours of concern that get in the way of life for them and impact on their quality of life, then becoming a positive behaviour practitioner might be a pathway you might like to consider. And again, we have such great resources and supports, as well as the way that we structure our PBS program to really support participants and practitioners to come up to speed with that work. Our early childhood services, so becoming a key worker is another way that you can work with families and young children. So this is children under 9 now that the NDIS has expanded up to that age. So you're working with younger children. The idea being that for some children, if we provide really great early intensive support in their lives, we can reduce the amount of support that they're needing longer term to be included. So some children, we can even support them in such a way that they're not needing to be on the NDIS when they're 9, which is amazing. So the housing and support needs assessment, so supporting people to be able to have the right funded supports in their lives, whether that's through where they live or the people who are looking after them and helping them live their lives every day, that helping to make sure that that support's right for them, the right amount of support at the right time is a really powerful way that we can impact people living their best lives, as well as making the scheme sustainable and still be around to support people in the future. And we have assistive technology and AAC, which Kelly mentioned earlier. So supporting people to access the equipment that can help them overcome some of the challenges to inclusion, a really impactful way that we're changing environments around people. So we have some really great learning opportunities there and pathways too. So we've just unveiled intermediate level face-to-face training days across the country and a whole heap of competency tools alongside that, so that you can embed that training. And we have our high complexity training rolling out this month, I think. And then we have our home modifications pathway, which that one's OT specific at the moment. And the idea being that we're really changing the physical environment around people so that they can access their homes and live safely. So lots of information there again, but I think it's really nice to know that it's okay if one of those focus programs doesn't float your boat straight away. A lot of the time, new grads, you want to hone your skills in your craft and then explore what's possible a bit later on.
Thanks, Trish, and you've really helped us conclude our presentation today. So we just wanted to put a little bit of information up on the slide now If you've loved what you've heard today, you want to know more, you'd like to speak to any single person on the panel, we encourage you to email our TA team. So we do have an email address there. You can contact us via our website, or you can book in directly with Gemma, who is here with us today via her Calendly link, and you can book in to chat to her as well. You can also reach out to any of us on the panel today. You can reach out to us via LinkedIn, or also reach out to our TA team. And I know that any single one of us would be happy to speak to you as well. So what I wanted to do now is just open up the floor for questions. Our panel is staying around for about 15 minutes. So if anyone is brave enough to take themselves off mute or raise their hands, or otherwise you can pop a question in the chat.
I just wanted to let everyone know I've just popped in my Calendly link into the chat. Yeah, and it's just obviously can direct you straight into my calendar where you can schedule a suitable time to have a chat.
So I can see an anonymous attendee has put in a question. Are we able to get a copy of these slides, please? That's a great question. Gemma, do we know if these slides will be put on our website? Otherwise, I do know this has been recorded today, and we just have to look at how we get people to access it.
Yeah, absolutely. I will have to get back to the people team just to see where the link would be to the slides, or as you said, it will be recorded as well, so that could be popped up on the website.
Kelly, we have another question, and I'm going to direct this to you. I am a fourth-year speech pathology student. I haven't yet had experience with individuals with disability and have had limited university placements in this area. Is the transition harder? I'm worried about feeling underprepared to enter in this area.
That's a pretty good question. I would say though, anonymous attendee, speechy student, that whatever that you learn in your, whatever that you learn in your program though, medical model, all of the resources or like the charts that you get, it would still be applicable for the individual with disability still. You definitely be supported to see how you can use that knowledge that you have to build up your clinical competence in this kind of NDIS space. So I think it will be okay. The transition is not going to be hard. It's going to be just right. Because then we're going to kind of gradually increase your, I guess, caseload in a way, so that even if you do start then, we're going to support you with your mentor. The team leader is going to check in to make sure that your calendar is okay, that you're not flooded, and that it's going to be kind of like challenging, but just the right challenge for you to learn as well. Yeah, hope that answers your question.
We do have lots of new graduates who join us who are new to the field of disability. So you won't be alone there, and your mentors will be experienced in supporting somebody who's new to the field. Yeah, so you won't be alone with your induction cohort there.
Yep. I think to add on that just very quickly, I don't think I learned a lot in uni as well about disability, but then when you have that background knowledge of like I guess what do you say, like cerebral palsy perhaps, or like your aphasia or dysphagia, that kind of thing, it will still be applicable in this setting, so no worries.
I think as well, just on that, I was in a similar situation to this particular person who's asking that question. And I think I had maybe one placement that was in a similar area within the disability space. And it was 2-week observation right at the start of my 4 years of uni. So I, was also a little bit, I felt like I was very underprepared. I felt quite hesitant, but I think something that was really reassuring and something to remind ourselves of is we're not the experts in someone's lives, and there are so many disabilities and so many different situations out there that you're never going to fully understand what's going on for someone. until you meet them. And as we know, with, you know, different conditions, whether it's a health condition, you know, a disability, a situation that's occurred, things present very differently for different people. So you might have two people, same age, sort of same situation, similar disability or same disability, but they present very, very differently. You could even be working on the same goals, but the intervention that you utilise is very different. So I think, you know, don't let that stop you, because you've got so much potential, and it's really about utilising your core skills as a speechy, as an OT, as a physio, and the understanding of the disability will come. Hope that helps.
Yeah. If you do feel as well like it's out of your realm, you can always get like a consult too from your team members. Like you share a hub, you have physios and OTs, or even like a behavior practitioner in the hub. You're like, I think I can have your expertise in, and then you kind of like chat with everyday therapy mentoring, like the Trish, I think you mentioned as well, like expert clinicians coming in to like give you advice and stuff. Like they can say like, oh yes, they definitely do need an OT, for example. So yeah, clarifying the scope.
And Gemma, I would love to direct the next question to you, because I know you've been looking at your career pathway around this, but can you specify the difference between a mentor and a team leader at Everyday Independence?
Oh, great question. Yeah, I'll do my best. If anyone wants to pop in, absolutely go for it. But I've actually, I guess through that career coaching that I was explaining before, I was really tossing up both pathways, so a mentor and a team leader. So when we're looking at a mentor, a therapy mentor, advanced therapy mentor, we're really looking at supporting therapists within their clinical scopes. So for myself as an occupational therapist, I would, if I was working within the mentor space, I would be supporting other occupational therapists that, you know, maybe are in their new grad year or have a couple of years experience, and really supporting them with their clinical caseload. So kind of as Callie has just sort of touched on before, if there are any challenging situations that they've experienced within their sessions, or if they're just really sure maybe about someone's disability or how to support them with their goal attainment, that's where you would be unpacking those situations and getting some support. There are obviously other opportunities as well for mentoring. It's not just with your one-on-one mentor, but you can access everyday therapy mentoring. So we've got a beautiful timetable of support where you can reach out to lots of different practitioners of different scopes of practice, which is great. Whereas, so it's more clinical, whereas a team leader is looking at that operational side of things. So, you know, when we're working as practitioners, it's not just all about going out and seeing participants. We actually have to plan our weeks, plan out our days. There's a lot of admin involved. And if we're not used to it, can be a little bit tricky. So the team leader opportunity is a really great way to support people with some of that, and also supporting them to access our fabulous admin team, because they do some really great calendar mapping. And I think some really fantastic opportunities that they give is working into what Bree was saying before about our flexible working hours, you know, thinking about where your participants are in terms of the locations that we support. So, you know, you're really wanting to have your appointments booked in sort of close proximity to each other, so you're not rushing around and you feel like you're chasing your tail every day. But also in the team leader role, you know, I guess you're supporting a group of therapists with their onboarding as well. So any new starters that you have, you're getting them set up with their tech, you know, all of their calendars. And you've also got a really great opportunity, as I mentioned before, to make an impact in the culture. So we, in the team leader space, we have a really big role in running some meetings on those Wednesdays, any of the socials as well. We have quite a big influence on those. And yeah, there's some other technical things which I haven't quite gotten into in terms of performance reviews and whatnot, but super exciting opportunities.
And Trish, I would love to ask you the next question. Does Everyday Independence have more cases of pediatrics than adults?
Great question. So the short answer would be yes. And I think it's quite reflective of the NDIS itself. And if you look at the spread of where the NDIS it invests across the lifespan, but we definitely have opportunities for practitioners who have a clear preference in the ages of caseloads that they would like to work with. So particularly, you know, as you're moving beyond a new graduate year. But for example, we recently have early childhood teams, which I think somebody mentioned earlier. So if you're an allied health professional and you've already identified, like I did when I was a new graduate 100 years ago, I'd identified that it was all about children for me. And so I was fortunate enough to be able to go straight into a position which gave a dedicated caseload of children and families to work with. So there still is that opportunity of a early childhood team, allied health professional, where you'd be working with children between the ages of 0 and about 14, 15. For some, they have that role, and they also have some across the lifespan. So it really depends on the hub and the position which is advertised. So new grads can go into an early childhood specific role if that position's advertised.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely depends on the hub. I'm based in the Burwood East hub, like inner Eastern Melbourne. We definitely have a good mix, actually. Early childhood all the way across the lifespan as well. So depends at the location. Thanks, Trish.
That's right, Kelly. Yeah, there's plenty of adults out there needing support.
And I am happy to jump in and answer the last question. It says, how many days a week do you need to work to be a habit coach? So we have casual and permanent part-time habit coach roles available at EI. To be a casual habit coach, we require a minimum of 2 afternoons, as we have lots of appointments of our participants who really want that after school support. And then from there, you can work as many shifts as you would like to work, and that is the benefit of being casual. And our permanent part-time habit coaches, we have either 3-day contracts at 18 hours, 4-day contracts at 24 hours, where you get to support participants across those hours, across the week, in a flexible manner that supports you. The benefit of being permanent part-time is you are a part of our team meetings. You get those extra perks of working really closely with the practitioners in the hub on a Wednesday. But either or, there's plenty of support in the habit coach space. We have one last question, and Gemma, I might direct this to you, Gemma Henry. Do we have mid-year new graduate entries?
Yes, in short, the answer is yes. It would, while our next graduate intake that we're obviously hosting to discuss around tonight is aimed at the August intake, but certainly it depends on, you know, when you finalize your studies and when you're looking at opportunities and when you graduate and you receive your transcripts and you become registered, whether it be with APRA or SPA, whichever discipline you are, and you know you're all ready to go. Certainly we would still welcome a discussion and to talk about opportunities for you to potentially join Everyday Independence in that graduate year, in that graduate program. And certainly it can be outside of the set graduate program that we might have set up.
Thank you so much. Unless there's any other questions out there, we would just love to say a massive thank you to everyone who's jumped on today. We really appreciate your time. We've got a snapshot up there again of how to join us, how to contact us. Please reach out with any questions that you may have. And we're truly grateful for your time and commitment this afternoon. So thank you all so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks. Have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Bye.